Smoked brisket recipe. We got to talk about
Yeah.
this. So this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I think there's a lot of fancy schmancy brisket recipes out there, and I'll let you guys go out and find. I think I may have talked about this, but first off, if you don't have one, you should go buy a pellet smoker. They're like $500. The Pit Boss ones are great. You don't need a Traeger. Traeger ones are really nice too. They're generally more expensive. You can get a Pit Boss at Lowe's or whatever for about $500. They're awesome. They work great. That's the best way to smoke anything because you have a closed loop electric control system that can target one temperature very precisely, and that's what you want for low and slow cooking. So I think I'm going to go the opposite direction. A lot of people. I'm just going to say buy brisket. This isn't a traditional smoked brisket recipe, but this is freaking delicious. Anyone you make this for will love it. Um, get a brisket and slice it into 1 inch slices. Put it in a pan. I buy those little aluminum pans by the dozen, and and then seal the top with some foil and put in the smoker for about 3 or 4 hours. And what that's going to do is that's going to steam and slow cook that meat, render out the fat, break down the connective tissue, and leave you with a tender pull apart meat. After you should be there about 3 or 4 hours. By slicing it, you're increasing surface area and letting the heat get in faster as opposed to like leaving it in one piece. Then remove the foil and start salting it. Nothing else, just put salt on it and move it around. And at that point, the pan is going to be filled with the rendered fat and juice from the meat. And I just recommend at that point rotating and flipping the pieces. They're going to start falling apart, and it's going to continue to cook. And those juices, the smoke's going to get in there, and then a lot of the juice is going to start evaporating, and so you'll just be left with the flavor from those juices. I recommend just doing it with salt, maybe a little pepper, just so you can really taste the meat. Um, Really well cooked beef is incredible. Like there's a certain flavor that comes out, and when you start covering it up with lots of different spices and stuff, it tastes good, but you're not really tasting the meat. And so I think a truly remarkable result is to make this dish uh, and feed it to someone and be like, guess what's in this? It's just salt, and it's kind of mind blowing because it's so delicious. And normally you kind of associate like having to add all this other crap to it to make it taste good. But you want to keep moving it around, let that liquid render down, and it's just going to be like by the time you're done, it's pretty much you're going to have a pan of like delicious, succulent, pulled apart meat. If you want to serve it like that, you can put it in a taco and a tortilla and a sandwich. You can just put that with the juice right on like a sweet roll or something. It's so good. Um, you can at that point you can add it to chili or like a red sauce, like a bolognese type sauce. And then something amazing to do the next day is uh, heat a pan up on the stove and throw that in there and crisp it up, and then put that into do you know like a like a Mexican style taco with some eggs and avocado, cilantro, and that crispy pulled brisket. I mean, it's freaking divine. So um, it's super easy to do. Not a lot of work. You just need that good pellet smoker. You could do this in a green egg or I have a primo too that I use. Just a little bit more work, kind of babysitting. You can even do it on a Weber and stuff like that. You're just gonna have to really work to keep that temperature low because what you don't want is the grill to get up to like 500 degrees and it just dries everything out. So I actually have a video on YouTube. If you look at my YouTube channel where I go through, it's a half an hour long video that I did about doing this with like a pork shoulder, but the cooking concept's the same. And that's I mean I've been smoking and doing meat for I don't know 15 years now. What the process I just described I think is I got really complex and fancy and foofy with things, and I've gone back to just doing something really simple and well done. So I would check that out, and if you have any questions, you can follow up.